Good morning, everyone. I would note for senators, this is the first hearing to be held in this room now that it's been rebuilt and reconstituted. Those of you who have been here a long time know this thing was sort of like the dark hole. It was probably the worst place to ever have a hearing because it was so dark and awful, and now it and I commend the architect of the Capitol and Sergeant at Arms, everybody else who put this together and has made it better. Attorney General Holder, welcome, and glad to have you here. I commend the Attorney General for moving forward last week with plans to proceed on several cases against those who seek to terrorize the United States. He's using the full range of authorities and capabilities available to us. Just as President Obama is using our military, diplomatic, legal, law enforcement, and moral force to make America safer and more secure, the Attorney General is exercising his responsibilities in consultation with the Secretary of Defense to determine where and how best to seek justice against those who have attacked Americans here at home and around the world. And after nearly 8 years of delay, we may finally be moving forward to bring to justice the perpetrators and murderers from the September 11 attacks. I have great confidence in our Attorney General, the capability of our prosecutors, our judges, our juries, and the American people in this regard. I support the Attorney General's decision to pursue justice against Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 4 others accused of plotting the September 11 attacks and to go after them in our federal criminal courts in New York. They committed murder here in the United States, and we'll seek justice here in the United States. They committed crimes of murder in our country, and we will prosecute them in our country. We're the most powerful nation on earth. We have a justice system that is the envy of the world. We will not be afraid. We will still go forward, and we will prosecute them. War crimes and crimes of terror and murder can successfully be prosecuted in our federal courts, and we've done it over and over and over again. America's response to these acts is not to cower in fear, but to show the world that we are strong, resilient, and determined. We don't jury-rig secret trials or kangaroo courts as some of our adversaries do. We can rely on the American justice system. And I urge this committee and the American people to support the Attorney General as this matter proceeds, urge the Congress to provide such assistance as will be needed, including providing the victims of those events the ability to participate. As many surviving members of those killed that day have said, after years of frustration, it's time to have justice. And I'll work with the Department of Justice and our court systems, as I did in the trial of Timothy McVeigh, to make sure that there are ways that the victims can watch these trials. Federal courts have tried more than 100 terrorism cases since September 11. More than 100 since September 11. They prove they can handle sensitive classified information, security, and other legal issues related to terrorism cases. And since the beginning of this year, more than 30 individuals charged with terrorism violations have been successfully prosecuted or sentenced in federal courts. The federal courts located in New York City tried and convicted the so-called blind sheikh for conspiring to bomb New York City landmarks, and Ramzi Youssef for the first World Trade Center bombing. New York was one of the primary targets of the September 11 attacks. Those who perpetuated the attacks should be tried there. They should answer for their brutality and for the murder of thousands of innocent Americans. Like Mayor Bloomberg, I have full confidence in the capacity of New York. And I have full confidence in Commissioner Ray Kelly, one of the finest police officers I've ever known, and the New York City Police Department. The Attorney General personally reviewed these cases, and along with Defense Secretary Gates, and based on the protocol, they announced this summer determined to use our full array of powers by proceeding against the September 11 plotters in federal court. And those charged with attack on USS Cole outside this country will be tried before a military tribunal and determined to go against Major Hassan in a court-martial for the deadly attack at Fort Hood just two weeks ago. I think the three different venues used for these three sets of crimes are appropriate, and I commend you for that. The President spoke at Fort Hood last week in a tribute to the brave men and women of our armed forces there. And he expanded on that matter in his weekly address over the weekend. Every member of Congress, every member, joins the President and military community in grieving for the victims and their families. We pray for the recovery of those who were wounded. Del Hassan has been charged with 13 counts of premeditated murder. The Army is leading the investigation with the support of the FBI, and the President has ordered a review of what was known ahead of time, and I think that's appropriate. And I look forward, as this committee conducts appropriate oversight, to find out exactly what happened, where steps were taken, and especially where steps were not taken. But I caution everybody to do it in a manner that does not interfere with the investigation and prosecution of this case. We want the prosecutors to be able to go forward with the case and not have anything we do interfere with it. I've already written to John Brennan, the Assistant to the President for Homeland Security and Terrorism, on behalf of this committee. I've asked him to provide us the results of the internal investigation by the FBI, Army, and intelligence agencies that's underway. Both an interim classified matters, both Senator Sessions and I should be informed, and I've spoken both with the Attorney General and with FBI Director Mueller. And yesterday, the ranking member and I, as well as the Chairman of the Intelligence Committee, Senator Feinstein, were briefed on the status of the investigation. We should and we will conduct responsible oversight. Try not to do it in a reckless fashion, because we should not take steps that are going to interfere with the ongoing investigation or stand in the way of military prosecutors. I want them to be able to compile a thorough and complete case. Also yesterday, the Attorney General and Treasury Secretary Geithner announced the creation of a financial fraud task force. It's a significant step in our efforts to strengthen fraud prevention and enforcement. It uses the authority we provide in the Fraud Enforcement and Recovery Act. I worked hard with Senator Grassley and Senator Kaufman to draft this act and get it passed. I was pleased to be there when the President signed it into law. It gives law enforcement new tools and resources to investigate and prosecute the kind of financial frauds that are undermining our country. We're now hard at work on measures to help find, deter, and punish health care fraud as well. Just this week, we learned that the government has paid more than $47 billion in questionable Medicare claims. As we prepare to consider health reform legislation, we have to address these issues of health care fraud. I hope that our new act that we worked on in a bipartisan way will help that. We have to complete our legislative work on a Media Shield bill, USA Patriot Act, Sunset Extension Act. And on these matters, I appreciate the support we have from the Attorney General. So with that, let me yield to Senator Sessions.